He ruined everything in just 15 seconds. Not because he was a bad person, not because someone was out to get him, but because, in that moment, he let his emotions speak louder than his values. This is Daniel's story. And if you've ever said or done something you wish you could take back, you'll want to stay with me until the end. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do in life is to not react. Welcome to Wisdom Stories, where timeless truths meet modern lives. Today's video is about emotional control and how a single pause in the heat of a moment can protect everything you've worked for. Daniel was 37, a quiet man, kind, the sort who let others speak first. At home, he was a loving father, the Lego builder, the bedtime storyteller. At work, he was respected. He didn't talk much, but when he did, people listened. He wasn't flashy or ambitious in the traditional way. He believed in doing good work, staying calm, and avoiding unnecessary conflict. But what happens when your patience is mistaken for weakness? What happens when calm is met with ego? That Monday started like any other: coffee, sunrise, a kiss on his daughter's forehead. His wife handed him a packed lunch and smiled. "You've got this." And he believed he did. Daniel was scheduled to pitch a system redesign project. He'd spent 2 months preparing it, nights, weekends, refining every detail. It had the potential to save the company time, money, and headache. This was more than a presentation. It was a shot at leveling up. He walked into the boardroom at 9 a.m. sharp. Colleagues were chatting, shuffling papers, nodding at screens. He began his pitch and everything flowed. The slides were tight, the logic clear. Even the notoriously critical manager was nodding. Then, midway through, someone interrupted. Tyler. Tyler was new, young, fresh out of business school. Smart, confident, maybe too confident. Tyler leaned back, crossed his arms and said, "Interesting. But don't you think this is just a polished-up version of what failed 2 years ago?" The air shifted. Daniel paused. A few people looked up from their notepads. One raised an eyebrow, another smirked. Tyler kept going, casually adding, "It's well put together, but feels like we're just recycling old logic. Shouldn't we be doing something bolder?" Daniel smiled politely, tight. He responded, steady at first. "This model directly addresses the failures of the previous system." But Tyler cut in again. "Yay, sure, but it's still reactive. Safe. I don't want to sound harsh, but maybe we need fresher eyes on this stuff." Daniel's chest tightened. Fresher eyes. That wasn't about the idea anymore. That was about him. The ringing started in his ears. His heart raced. He could feel the pressure building in his chest. The room grew quiet. Everyone was watching. All his late nights, all his effort, undermined in 2 minutes by someone who barely skimmed the proposal. And then Tyler said it. "When you've been in the system long enough, it's easy to miss where the industry's really headed." Daniel slammed his laptop shut. The sound cracked through the silence like thunder. "You know what, Tyler?" he snapped, leaning forward. "Maybe when you've been here long enough, you'll understand that experience matters more than trendy buzzwords." The room went dead still, but Daniel didn't stop. "You talk like you know everything. You've been here 6 months. You've never led a project, never managed a team, but sure tell me how outdated I am." Nobody said a word. Even Tyler looked stunned. The smirk was gone. The meeting ended awkwardly. People filed out silently. No eye contact. Daniel packed up his things, hands slightly shaking. His throat was dry, his heart still pounding. By lunchtime, HR had sent the email. "Please come in tomorrow to discuss today's incident." That evening, Daniel sat in his parked car outside his house for almost an hour. His phone buzzed. He didn't answer. The anger had faded. All that remained was shame. He kept replaying the moment in his head. The slam of the laptop, the tone of his voice, the look in Tyler's eyes. Not fear, not arrogance, just surprise, and maybe even hurt. He barely slept that night. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, he kept asking himself, why couldn't I keep it together? Why did I let him get to me? Why did I let my worst moment erase months of good work? The next morning, he showed up to HR. No excuses. No finger pointing. Just honesty. I reacted. I let it get personal. I lost control. Daniel wasn't fired, but he was removed from the project. But for himself, it felt worse. Because this had been his chance to prove himself. And instead, he proved the opposite. But Daniel didn't stay stuck in shame. Over the following week, he reflected deeply. He wrote in a journal, spoke with a mentor, and most importantly, he faced something he'd been avoiding. He realized Tyler's comments shook him because deep down, he feared it might be true. That maybe he was becoming outdated. That his quiet, steady style was being drowned out by younger, louder voices. The outburst hadn't been about Tyler. It had been about Daniel's own fear, his need to feel relevant. His unspoken worry that the world was moving past him, but that realization freed him because now he knew what he had to work on. Not Tyler, not the system, but himself. 3 weeks later, in another meeting, it happened again. A different colleague made a sly joke about Daniel's age. It stung. People laughed. The balloon of heat rose in his chest again. But this time, he paused. He took a slow breath, looked down at his notepad, then calmly said, "Thanks for your input. Let's stay focused on the numbers." No sarcasm, no snap, just composure. And something shifted. Not just inside Daniel, but in the room. People noticed. And they respected it. Here's the truth. You are not your emotions. You are the space where emotions rise and fall. Anyone can react. Anyone can lash out. But not everyone can stay calm when it counts. If Daniel had paused just 5 seconds, he could have walked out of that first meeting with his reputation intact, maybe even promoted. But because he reacted, he almost lost everything. We've all had moments like that. Words we wish we could take back, messages we wish we hadn't sent. But what matters isn't the mistake, it's what we do next. So here's my challenge to you. The next time someone pushes your buttons, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this worth it? Am I protecting my values or just my ego? That one pause might save your job, your relationship, your peace of mind. If this story made you reflect, don't just scroll away. Let it sit with you. Share it with someone who needs it. And most of all, remember it when the moment comes. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more true stories and timeless wisdom. We're building something meaningful here. A space for thoughtful, emotionally strong people like you. Until next time, stay calm, stay wise, and take care.